Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, April 4th, 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. Yesterday, the Assembly Speaker and governmental ally, Mr. Ilir Mehta, declared that a solution is needed for the current political situation and asked the Prime Minister and the DP Chairman to sit and dialogue over the crisis. The Assembly Speaker said that the Socialist Movement for Integration is ready to offer its mandates if that would be a guarantee for the opposition. The SMI chairman declared that the country may need a provisional government to guarantee non-involvement of the public administration in elections. With a provisional government, Mr. Mehta says the state police will guarantee a fierce and uncompromising fight against narcotics, the fight against any effort for criminal or illegal financing of elections, and to guarantee the transparent implementation of decriminalization. Prime Minister Rama praised the Assembly Speaker's efforts towards finding a solution for returning the Democratic Party to Parliament, though he does not agree with Mr. Mehta's compromise of establishing a provisional government. In a Facebook posting, the Prime Minister writes that the Constitution clearly states that elections should be held on June 18th and that the current government was elected by the citizens' will. He wrote, "Our Constitution is very clear. Elections should be held on June 18th. Our Constitution is very clear. The government is the citizens' will. If we all agree with the Constitution, I am convinced that we can agree with anything else." The Prime Minister did express his readiness to dialogue with the opposition, saying, "If the Democratic Party wants a serious discussion with us, I am and I will continue to be ready to discuss any request or solution that does not violate the Constitution and that does not conflict with democratic standards." Though the Prime Minister praised Speaker Mehta's efforts to pacify the opposition, he emphasized that he will not withdraw from the reforms simply because a minority is afraid of the judicial reform. "Our government is committed to a comprehensive reform path. We have imposed a legal basis instead of illegality. We have returned stable economic increase instead of an economy plunged into debts and corruption. We will not go back and we will not stop our path, which is determined by the people, only because a minority is afraid of vetting and the people's vote in elections," declared the Prime Minister. He also called on the opposition to dialogue and cooperate in order to have free and fair elections on June 18th. The Democratic Party chairman declared that the opposition welcomes the Assembly Speaker's provisional government solution for the political crisis. Mr. Basha thanked the Assembly Speaker for putting aside his personal interests and for putting Albania first. The DP chairman added that the Prime Minister is the only person who is taking the country's interest hostage, and for this reason he advised the Prime Minister to reflect as soon as possible, saying, "Last night one of the government allies made his choice, and we welcome it if it is sincere. We are not asking for bargains at the expense of Albanian citizens. This is the case to call on the person who is officially identified as the only obstacle for free and honest elections, to the person who puts his power over democracy, over free elections, to reflect and to pave way for the establishment of a provisional government through political dialogue, which will implement the decriminalization law, taking any incriminated out of state offices," declared the DP chairman. But even while expressing readiness to establish a provisional government, the DP chairman assured protesters that no bargain will be made at the expense of free elections. The DP chairman said that the opposition will continue with its protest and that there is no way back, highlighting that the Democratic Party has the potential and energy to go through to the end. This morning, the U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu and the former U.S. Ambassador Alexander Arvizu, currently serving as the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the State Department's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, held a meeting with Prime Minister Rama. For over an hour, the diplomats focused on the political situation in Albania and the fight against cannabis. The former ambassador arrived in Tirana 2 days ago and has been holding meetings with political leaders. It is not known if he will give a press conference at the end of his visit or not. Tirana's mayor inspected the reconstruction of a school in Tirana today, where he declared that the political situation will not affect the work of the institution he leads. All those asking for a provisional government today should remember that they were in office yesterday, and they could have reconstructed these schools and could have done all of this work. So it is very important not to waste time, not to deal with words, and to focus on the work. I believe that on June 18th, the people will evaluate the work, a government and a city hall that have focused on work rather than at the tent and the endless words that take us nowhere, declared the mayor. Next year, around 1,000 students will attend the reconstructed school, which is expected to be finished by September. I am glad that the school will not only be bigger, but will have sports spaces, which will also be open to citizens after school, added the mayor. The new school will have 4 floors with all the necessary teaching environments, such as laboratories, and a high-standard gymnasium. The Minister of Finance gave a press conference today where he spoke of the economic performance of the first quarter of 2017. The minister added that the political situation in the last 3 months has not helped the economy grow. The minister also commented on Arbery Road, announcing that the winning company for the road reconstruction will be announced by the end of May. He said the 3.46% economic growth is significant in comparison to the situation we were handed. We quadrupled the economic growth. We found a bankrupt budget unable to pay its debts. Today, the government is running a budget surplus, while debt reduction is expected to hit 45% by the end of our second term in office. The Minister of Finance added that the judicial reform is crucial and that all those holding its implementation back are severely hampering the welfare and employment of Albania's citizens. This artificial situation poses a serious threat to economic growth. What is going on at the tent harms the image and the trust of economic actors in our economy, threatens economic growth, welfare, and employment, said the minister. He also said that the government will make a decision within 2 weeks on how much the minimum wage will increase, and the increase of bank loans shows the bank trusts in enterprises. On the 8th anniversary of its membership, the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Foreign Affairs had a conversation with Tirana University students today about Albania's membership in NATO. Both ministers said that NATO is a strategic alliance which helps the Balkan region to further develop its integration processes. The ministers spoke of the challenges the alliance is going through at a time when the U.S. president is skeptical and is asking for more dedication. The Minister of Defense spoke of the Albanian Army's presence in all peacekeeping missions of the alliance and of our women's participation in the armed forces. Albania's armed forces are 14% female soldiers, a high figure when compared to ally countries. We have a female general in our army, something that not many NATO countries have, said the Minister of Defense. The foreign minister described NATO membership as a guarantee for stability in the country. We are the most pro-alliance nation at this angle of Europe. Albania has received positive evaluations, not only for its political availability, but also for the concrete availability in the fight against terrorism. During the conversation held with the students, the ministers declared that the Balkan countries' integration in NATO helps them to progress with other integrating processes. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.